Hello everybody, my name is Adam, and if you're watching this, I just did a two-part video on titled The Fear of the Unknown, and I based it out of Acts chapter 8 verses 26 through 40. And it was talking about how a lot of times in situations in our life, when God tells us to move, when God tells us to go, when God tells us to do something, that we're fearful because, you know, we're fear of the unknown, because a lot of times we don't have control of it. But I just want to get on camera again because I just heard an amazing story about 10 minutes ago, and so I had to share it with you all. There's a pastor who was in the airport, and he was sitting in the airport, and it was an overlay of wanting to go back home. And there was a woman that was sitting across from him, and she kind of gave him the look. And he noticed the look like, hey, you're my pastor. And she came over, and he's really exhausted, he's really tired, really don't really want to bother with anybody. And she comes over, and she chit-chats with him, how you doing, kind of small talk, whatever else. And then he kind of excuses her, and she walks away. And as he picks up his book that he's beginning to read, you know, God lays it upon your heart, but God lays it upon his heart. You know, I want you to go, like we've been reading about Philip, I want you to go and ask how she really is. And so he puts down his book and he goes to the woman and he asks, you know, hey, I'm sorry that, you know, I kind of led you off like that, you know, how's it really going in your life and so forth. And the amazing thing is she breaks down and cries, just for the simple fact that she just got off of a plane from a business trip. And on this business trip, she had a drink, and it led to 2, led to 3. She got drunk, and she actually had an affair with another guy of her husband. And so she admits all this to her pastor. And so the pastor begins to minister to her and calls up a marriage counselor and sets an appointment for that Monday, because it was on a Friday evening. And then he says, you know, that when are you going to tell your husband, you know, this is going to be hurtful and dreadful and so forth, but you need to let your husband know. And so he prays for her, and again, he ministers to her, long story short, and he holds her accountable, right? All right, so the Saturday comes, and she's supposed to tell her husband at, like, I don't know, I think it was like 10 o'clock, 10:30 in the morning when the husband came back from his business trip. And so this pastor of his, he's out traveling, dropping off his 2-year-old daughter, and there's about an hour and a half of time left before he has to come back and pick up his, not 2-year-old, but his daughter. And so, you know, he was saying that a lot of times he just prays short prayers. Okay, God, what do you want me to do? Where do you want me to go? Stuff like that. So he says that God had him to go to Walmart. Now let me remind you, the guy telling the story hates Walmart, right? So he hates Walmart. So he said he actually would rather look at cats at a pet store all day than go to Walmart. But he goes to Walmart. Notice how he goes, again like Philip. Has no idea, has no clue what's going on, but he goes to Walmart. Starts walking around. He said about 5, maybe 10 minutes later, a guy gives him this look. Okay, like, oh, you're my pastor. Runs up to the guy, embraces the pastor like this big, huge bear hug. The pastor almost broke his back. Then the guy weeps and cries and so forth, says, you talked to my wife the other night. It's the husband of the woman of the night before. And it just so happened to be that this guy was able to counsel and able to pray and to minister to this guy in the middle of Walmart. Okay? Now, granted, this guy was going to this pastor's church, but he wasn't a believer. The pastor led him to Christ. Get this, in the frozen section of the frozen aisle, frozen food aisle in Walmart, right? Long and behold, the married couple is now more intimate in their marriage. God blessed them with 2 kids. And now they have a testimony of themselves of what is broken, God can fix. And anything's possible with God. But I wanted to share this story with you of what I just gathered. I was excited. Just for the simple fact that the pastor did exactly what God had him to do. Even though it was the unknown, even with the woman, he was tired, exhausted, everything else. The particular incident in the airport that night, when God said move, when God said go, you know, go speak to her, that's what the pastor did. And the same thing, when the God said, man, go to Walmart, God did. And some of you guys are like, oh, well, Adam, you know, this guy was a pastor, so of course. No, 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 no. Because, again, when we're obedient to God, God will reveal to us of what He has planned for our lives. And I'm telling you, when you're obedient, it's exciting to see what God unfolds before you in your life. It's a testimony itself. Thanks for watching again. My name is Adam. This is LA Word Devotional.